All right, so this is the simple interface for demonstrating this application. All right, we have three major categories. You have the pain cries, you have the hunger cries, you have the neurological distress. Now, this is just a very simple demonstration, application that draws from the best model uh, that was saved during the training process. Okay, so if we click the pin cry and just start recording and we analyze that sound, the pin cry, you can see the actual, depth, the score line as far as pain is concerned, the hunger and the neurological. All right, so you can see that the pain is actually showing the highest percentage while the other two is less. Now let's try the hunger cry and test just 2 second test. We stop and we analyze it, and then the app gives us the percentage. You can see the pain is 13 and the hunger is 17. That's the app has recognized that that particular cry sound falls under the category of the hunger, all right, and gives us a percentage of what is actually is that the child is encountering. Now let's look at the neurological. The neurological distress is the gives us one of the highest features here. So if we start recording and we stop to analyze, you can see that, of course, the neurological gives us the highest here. That particular sound has been classified under that category. Then down here, you can see the live frequency analysis. Here you can see the energy RMS, and then here you can see the frame, and you can see the fundamental in hertz, and then the uh, height in frequency part ratio, that's the HF frequency. Then here you can also see the best model parts. All right, the pin area under curve is 80%, the hunger is 70, over 70, close to 80, and then your AUC is 87, over 87%. So this is just how simply this app works. Disorder. So this is how this app works. The area under the receiver operating characteristic AUC is a measure of a model's ability to distinguish between a given class and other classes. And AUC of 0.5 represents random guessing, while 1 indicates perfect discrimination. All right. The values obtained here for pain is 80%, hunger is 70, over 70%, neurological is over 87%, respectively. These tell us how well the neonatal cry classifier performs for each clinical category. Interpreting these numbers in a medical context requires understanding both the technical meaning of AUC and the practical implications for each type of cry. Okay, so let's look at the general interpretation of AUC in the medical screening context. In the clinical decision support tool, all right, the model would output a probability for each class. For instance, 70% pain, 20% hunger, 10% neurological. A clinician could then decide on threshold for action. ROC plots the true positive rate sensitivity against the false positive rate, all right, specificity as one. Then across the possible thresholds, AUC summarizes the overall discrimination ability. AUC is greater than 90 is considered excellent, 80 to 89 is good, 70 to 79 is fair, and less than 70 is poor. All right, so let's take an instance now. This AUC is saying 819. Okay, the model discrimination pain cries from hunger, and neurological cries with good accuracy. All right. This is a pairwise comparison as it correctly ranks pain higher than non-pain cries 80.8% of the time. Now, very quickly, let's look at medical implications. Pain in neonates is often under-recognized and undertreated, okay? Yet this has intermediate physiological instability. Now, this could actually be a real guide to analgesic administration. For example, after painful procedure, the model could confirm whether the cry still indicates pain, helping nurses decide if additional analgesia is needed. All right. Then you have the detection of the silent pain. Some infants may not exhibit obvious behavioral cues, but their cry acoustics might indicate pain. The model could flag such cases for closer observation. All right. Now, we also have the differentiation of pain from hunger. Hunger cries are often managed with feeding, while pain may require medication. Misclassifying pain as hunger or vice versa could delay appropriate treatment. All right. With an AUC of over 80%, the model is reasonably good at avoiding this confusion, but some overlap might remain. Okay, so then we should also take note of the threshold considerations because pain is commonly treatable condition. A moderate false positive rate may be acceptable if it ensures high sensitivity. Conversely, if unnecessary pain medication carries risks, respiratory depression, one might prefer a higher specificity. All right. The ROC curve allows selecting threshold that balances these trade-offs according to the clinical context. All right, so let's look at the neurological distress at AUC at over 87%. What is actually implies that the model is very good at distinguishing neurological distress signals. All right, cries from pain, of course, away from pain and hunger cries. An AUC of over 87 indicates that 87.6 of randomly chosen pairs, one neurological cry and one non-neurological cry, the model will correctly assign a higher probability to the neurological sample. Let's look at the medical implication. Neurological distress is often the most critical category as it may signal conditions such as the hypoxic-ischemic encephalopathy, all right, seizures or general central nervous system irritation. Early recognition can prompt urgent evaluation. Okay? For instance, the neurological exam, imaging, ECG, and potentially prevent long-term issues. All right. So then you also have the high sensitivity and reasonable threshold. The model could be tuned to catch nearly all neurological cries. That's setting how threshold from low threshold from neurological alerts. Even if that leads to some false alarms, the cost of missing a true neurological event is high. So a sensitive screening tool is valuable. All right. Now, integration into monitoring in an NICU setting, the model could continuously analyze cry patterns and alert staff when neurological distress is likely. All right, prompting clinical assessment that might otherwise be delayed. All right. You should also note that the confidence in ruling out, okay, because the AUC is high, low predicted probability for neurological distress can give clinicians more confidence that the cry is not neurological, reducing unnecessary workups. All right, here is the hunger as over 70%. All right, it indicates the model's ability to separate hunger cries from the other two, as neurological cries and the hunger cries. Then the medical implications is also outlined here, as you can see. Now, I want to quickly talk about the strengths of the pipeline. We used a strong pre-trained audio encoder, that's the HeAR. The HeAR was trained, of course, the Google HeAR is part of the Google High Def models, all right? It was trained on a massive corpus of health-related sound, so its embeddings are rich and relevant, all right? Now, comprehensive augmentation helped the model to generalize different recording conditions. Then the rigorous splitting, okay? The holdout set ensures no data leakage and gives a realistic performance estimate. And multiple evaluation metrics also provided a nuanced view of performance, attention to memory and reproductivity, the logging, the cleanup, and the plot saving respectively. All right, so let's quickly look at the pain at 80 to 82. The interpretation is that the model is good at separating pain from other hunger and the neurological classifications. All right, then the clinical meaning is that the pain is a common and important symptom in neonates. So it can arise from medical procedures, illness, discomfort. Undertreated pain has both immediate, all right, physiological instability and long-term altered pain processing consequence. An automated pain detector with AUC of 82% could help alert nurses, reduce time of analgesia or unnecessary painful procedures, then of course distinguish pain from hunger, avoiding unnecessary feeding when pain relief is actually needed. Okay, so let's look at the hunger. This stands at about over 78% to 81%. The interpretation is that the model's ability to identify hunger cries is fair to good. The clinical meaning indicates that the hunger is a normal physiological need, not a medical emergency. However, correctly identifying hunger is still very important. This prevents unnecessary medical interventions, ensures feeding is offered promptly, and of course, in a busy ICU unit for kids, an automated hunger alert could help staff prioritize feeding rounds. The improvement to 80% suggests that the model is now more reliable for hunger, though it remains most challenging class. Okay, so in conclusion, the AUC values obtained from pain at over 80%, hunger at close to 80%, it's over 79% thereabout. The neurological, which is over 87%, represent a substantial achievement in neonatal cry analysis. They indicate that the model has one, good discriminative ability for all three classes, with neurological distress being the most reliable detected. Okay, the stable performance across validation tests and holdout sets demonstrates strong generalization, clinical potential as a decision support tool that could improve recognition of pain and neurological distress, reduce unnecessary interventions, and provide objective data to guide care. All right, while further validation and regulatory work are needed, this model lays a solid foundation for a non-invasive, continuous, objective method to understand what a newborn's cry is trying to communicate. In the future, such technology could become a standard part of neonatal monitoring, helping ensure that every cry is heard and acted upon appropriately.
Let your baby cry into a microphone with auto-tune part 2.